Hello, my name is Deluge, and would you like to know how I found myself in this hell pit? Well, it's actually a very funny story. The tasks ahead of me were going to be arduous, perhaps even difficult. So I knew that I needed some weapons that would be extremely powerful. Give me them chonkers, bonkers numbers. So I talked to the smithy, and he told me that a Seregios might just be the solution. Seregios, a beautiful and majestic creature that would give me the power to continue through the ranks that I was needing to have in order to continue. So I set my sights on him, and he set his sights on me. Capturing the beast was a tricky endeavor, but with a little bit of luck and charisma and guile and chutzpah, I managed to just barely get that boy got. After a few hunts with the Seregi boy, I had just enough raw materials to craft the switch axe, the hammer, and the longsword. 3 weapons that would be invaluable in the fights ahead. With my new weapons forged and ready to go, I knew it was time for an armor upgrade. I would miss my hunting set, but it was time for something with a bit more zip. So I set my sights on a Rathalos. Even with all my previous victories, I knew this would be no easy task. So I enlisted the help of a fellow hunter, who was a quiet lady who only went by Anzu. Rathalos, who was a symbol of power and destruction and invincibility for his hunters. His armor was legendary in its efficiency and destructive capability. When I was armed with it, I knew there'd be nothing that could stop me. The hunts were long and grueling, each one more dangerous than the last. These Rathaloses weren't going down easy, but we were giving them hell. I'm sure glad Anzu was by my side, because I didn't think this would be a task I could complete on my own. He was most definitely worthy of the title, King of the Skies, for his power and ferocity were unmatched by any other flying wyvern I'd fought up to this point. Aside from a few leviathans and brood wyverns, I don't think there was anything quite as ferocious as him. I'd heard rumors floating around the canteen about the power of the legendary Tigrex Charge Blade. I knew I needed to get my hands on that bad boy, so I enlisted Anzu's help one more time, and we were off to hunt us a Tigrex. I had the home field advantage. I knew Ancestral Step like the back of my hand. That Tigrex didn't stand a lick of a chance. With my new trusty Seregios longsword, I was ready to go to work on that boy. His charges could not stop me. His boulders could not hit me. But his spinnies hit me every single time. Man, I hate the spinnies. And with a bit of luck and a lot of chutzpah, we managed to pull through. That Tigrex didn't know what hit him. Me and Anzu were in perfect sync. Nothing could have stopped us. Not even an uninvited guest or two. Because man, that really sucks. After the Tigrex hunt had wrapped up and I had forged my new charge blade, we were ready. Or rather, I was ready to go on a little fishing trip. This fishing trip wasn't recreational though. It was a final piece of the puzzle before I was ready to face Clava Nostra. I needed me a few armored breams to craft a very special piece of armor. So I fished, and I fished, and I fished. And there was a whole fishy shindoot nanny baloo of fish. I'll tell you, I fished a sushi fish, I fished a wet fish, I fished a pop fish, I even fished a few silverfish. Now there was a lot of fishing going around, but there was one fish that I needed to fish, and that fish was the armored bream, a rare and elusive fish that was scales with a wyvern-like quality to them. I had never seen one before, so I didn't quite know what I was looking for, but after a few minutes, hours, years of searching, I managed to find me 2, and after that, I was ready to craft myself the Volk folds, and now, my new fishy belt, I could put together my new mix set. Behold, I call it Wrath, but with fish. The stage was set, all the pieces were gathered. It was time. I was ready. I was calm, I was cool, I was collected. I even remembered to bring cold drinks this time. It was me, it was Glavinus, in the dunes. I don't think I've ever been this ready for anything in my entire hunting career. This was going to be a legendary battle of legendary proportion. I didn't quite know if I was going to make it out. Well, actually, to be honest with you, I knew for a fact I was going to make it out alive because I was a badass who was armed to the teeth with the best weapons and armor available to me at my current rank. This boy was gonna get hit, and hit hard. It was a slow start, perhaps even a rough start, to probably one of the most legendary battles I've ever had to battle. He was giving me all kinds of guff, especially with that nasty tail of his, and his head. Oh boy, howdy, his head. Spitting fire, running around. My goodness. I may have made a few mistakes early on. I was headstrong and I was hungry for that gladness. So I tried to recompose myself, stick to my guns, remember the basics, and just go off of instinct. And also lean on my hunter arts, because I knew Energy Blade was his one and only weakness. Soon enough, I started to get a feel for this boy, started to learn his tells and where to position myself in order to strike effectively. Soon the hunt started going my way. I wasn't letting up or easing on this boy at all. I knew if I gave him even an inch, he could end my life in a split second. And so, as soon as that tail swipey came at me, I knew there was only one thing I could do. I had to roll for it, and I did. He was vulnerable, wide open in fact, and I knew this was my chance of strike. I hit him with everything I had, 110%. I gave him the slap of 1,000 slaps, a slap so hard that it would slap the literal gumption out of that boy's knuffus. So, I picked my opportunity and I took it, because why would I pass on such a beautiful opportunity? And that was the final blow on the Glapnostro. I had had my victory, I had taken my revenge, I had done legendary battle with a monster. But soon, something was stirring. A very uneasy feeling came over me. I knew, once I got back to the hub, there was trouble afoot. Instead of being greeted with the usual fanfare when I returned to the hub, there was an urgent assignment waiting for me. Apparently, by my own hand, a Shigeru Magala had come to fruition. A legendary and dangerous monster with the ability to destroy anything in its way. I knew I needed to leave as quickly as possible, so I gathered what little supplies I had left after my Glapnostro hunt, and I departed. I'm not entirely sure if I'll be able to defeat this thing, but I'm going to try.